We use something like 7,000 words a day. So it's the most used tool for communication.
Okay, there's one missing here. It needs to be right there.
We rely on it more than anything else.
Exactly. Perfect. Okay.
A part of what I am doing is to actually look beyond language, because language is insufficient to wrap the whole existence. Let's see. This is giving me trouble today. The airbrush, I keep thinking about it as breath. Inhale and exhale and repeat something over and over again, tuning into a certain kind of mental space, which you do with meditation. The action itself becomes secondary to what comes out of it.
The architectural installation, just so you know, I wrote that question.
Yeah.
I'm leading you to talk about the type of spaces that don't exist in Western culture, which is these in-between spaces.
One of my eyebrows is jumping.
I think that even people that know your work will see something that they
Haven't seen before. Yeah.
You'll be surprised.
I was born and raised in Tehran, and I would say that the earliest memories I have of drawing is from these lessons in calligraphy, where we had to trace the form of a letter. When I was in my undergrad year in Vancouver, I was scribbling a lot in Persian, and they organically became drawings. And I was showing them in class, and I knew that this language is going to always read as illegible in this new place. The use of Persian language in my work has been a way of grappling with my own reality as someone who is displaced from the language, from its emotional and psychological space. I started looking at these talismans, scripts that are believed to possess magical powers. We use something that we know and we recognize as letter forms, but we want them to connect us to something that is invisible, unseen. So I was tracing these, and I was also making stencils. And the noqtes are these dots that are either on the top or below a letter form. And in calligraphy, they become a unit by which you measure the proportions of the letter forms. Imagine the nib of a reed pen. When you draw it out, you get this diamond shape. I decided to pluck the noctes out of the language and place it to measure the horizon. In a way, if I am using these noctes, I am saying that this language is still with me. Even if it's illegible, this is such a signifier of the language. It's been really meditative to work with this one element. Giving space for that obsessiveness keeps my mind together. But with the Norte, it definitely had to be a lot of precision in execution of the form itself. I minimize decision making in certain ways. I'm going to spray these 4 times or 5 times, not twice, not 10 times. Keep that steady. I'm fascinated in thinking about color as light, and I try to replicate that in my paintings where there is not a clear edge between one color and another. The fine-tuning could be done forever, so I have to figure out, like, just stop when I need to stop. That feels unresolved. There's a point where you stop seeing. I have like 6 or 7 more to make. Like, making art is so much about like summoning your demons and taming them. You know, it's like, it's a really deep process, psychological process, and, you know, giving myself the permission to fail is important. Whatever it is, you just have to welcome it in its full form. Even though in the back of my mind, I always thought the distance would resolve itself. The distance from home, from family, from all these things that feel really first nature, accumulates over time.
There we go.
I am thinking that I need to show it the other orientation because then these will have the wrong orientation. So I think I just have to show it with the bottom down.
There's 2 cutouts in the bottom though.
Yeah, but
So-
there is, yeah. Oh, right.
I have all these threads, but then I'm like, how disconnected this feels now. I have lived more than half of my life away from people who love me, from the language that I am very in tune with. The distance never really went away. It just accumulated in this weird way, and there are moments where it just erupts.
This might be something that I ask you to build. Small legs that lift it off the ground a little bit. Then it makes these holes meaningful.
I'm really conscious that I have no idea what it feels like to live in Iran right now. I am so far removed, and maybe my practice is a way of like keeping my relationship intact and being able to create spaces where these conversations are still ongoing and they don't die. I have thought about Noqteh mostly as this measuring unit. And one of the things that I was thinking about is how we use different systems to give meaning to the world and find ways to invent our own measuring units. In calligraphy, it's this unit that is determining the relationships within this system of aesthetic that is meant to evoke beauty. It's like taking something into a whole new environment where they are put into this new context where there are more possibilities for them to be perceived, but they have been separated from where they were intended to be.
بیا یا همونجا وایستا همونجا یه تاشو تو باید بزن بیا عزیز این کنوسه اونا سیچه همین یه دونه کنوسه Exactly. It becomes all reflective. So then you see it many, many, many times.
The horizon is a fascinating phenomenon. Our eyes can see that far in distance, but in order to do that, it has to make its own interpretation, converging the sky and earth. Even language tries to measure our experience, and yet there's so much that's immeasurable.